Good morning, everybody. Let me first of all express how incredibly happy I am that I'm here today with you. It makes me, as a representative of the city of Vienna, incredibly proud and happy that the Act.Now conference is taking place in this city. And it makes me happy and proud that so many people are here, so many inspiring people, especially so many young people are here to contribute in a better world, to contribute in changing the world for the better. And, well, it is overwhelming, and it is overwhelming each single year. For so many years, or I would say for so many decades, Vienna tried to be a city that is making a change. Vienna aimed to be a city of social cohesion. Vienna aims to be a city of solidarity. Vienna aims to be a city in which everybody can live a good life, not only the well-off. And Vienna tries and wants and is deeply convinced that we are doing. Yes, is deeply convinced that we are doing great. An open city wants to be an open city, a city that respects and empowers fundamental rights. So, in my point of view, Vienna is a perfect place for an Act.Now conference, and I want to take that as a chance to say thank you for everybody who is contributing in this great conference. Thank you for everybody who is doing organizing work today. Thank you for everybody who is here, and especially thank you for the initiators of Act.Now movement and Act.Now conference, Elke Zuckermann, Patricia Kahane, and Andre Heller. This year's conference is entitled Space for Encounter, Overcoming Divisions, and will therefore revolve around ways to foster a better living together. So, what kind of divisions do we face in modern societies? How can we overcome divisions? And how do spaces for encounter look like? In the next minutes, I want to share a few thoughts about these questions with you, reflecting the situation in Vienna, especially reflecting our experiences with the involvement of young people. In postmodern societies, we have to deal with the fact that we are always same and different at any point of time. We are all equal in our human desire to live a happy, self-determined, free and healthy life among the people we love. And we all have the same fundamental rights. But at the same time, we are very different and unique in so many different ways. We are diverse in gender, we are diverse in educational, general opportunities like the right to vote, our family backgrounds, our income, our wealth, our age, our cultural backgrounds, our origin, our lifestyles, whatever. Especially cities are places of ever-increasing social and cultural diversity. Basically, there are two different ways of dealing with this diversity: segregation and inclusion. Now I have something in my pocket, and I hope I can start. Okay. Whoever is responsible, there's one nice picture about segregation and inclusion, and about the things that can happen to cities. Cities can fall apart. Urban societies can be segregated. Different areas of socially homogeneous backgrounds, banlieues and gated communities. Segregated communities and neighborhoods are no spaces for encounter. Segregated communities are spaces of division. We have to walk along the other part. We need to build cities as places in which people have something in common. To prevent our societies from falling apart, to overcome division, and to build places for encounter, we have to work on the neighborhood level. In every circle, with a circle around different colored plots. We have to work on the neighborhood level in order to accumulate bridging capital. We have to actively involve citizens, especially the young. And we have to look at the whole city society and the need to empower the powerless. Everything starts with the places where the people live, the neighborhood. It's the neighborhood where young people grow up. It's the neighborhood where people come together, and it's the neighborhood what people call home. We need to support inclusive and socially mixed neighborhoods as the core concept of inclusive cities. The easiest way of bringing people together is by helping them to design the places where they live, together and actively involved. Supporting this means supporting that everybody can feel at home because everybody has contributed in the common good in their neighborhood. One way to support neighborhoods is through community work. Community work can build bridging capital. Community work helps to support the ability of self-organization. Another important field of neighborhood work is to take a close look to the institutions we have in the neighborhood. At the neighborhood, every single institution has to be a space for encounter, a kindergarten, a school, a library. Many others have to be open and inclusive and should work together for providing a comprehensive network around the residents, especially around the young residents. Providing a reliable common good is what makes these institutions part of home. Public schools are the most diverse places in our society, and in my point of view, there is very little that is more important than making schools a common good. A home for everyone. Schools are important starting points on overcoming divisions. A school is a place for developing mutual understanding. Schools are places for encounter. And universal equality of all human beings must be conveyed at the same time in a school. Therefore, we need to fully support schools in mastering their challenges. This year, we started a project called Respect Stronger Together in our city that is addressing pupils, teachers, and parents at the same time and brings additional support to schools. The whole focus is on partnership and cooperation, and I think that's the key point. We want to support schools in dealing with prejudices, in devaluation, bullying, discrimination, social and cultural tensions, you name it, because we are convinced that schools have to be spaces for encounter in the first place, and that we are convinced that in the first place schools have to be places of mutual respect. And then we can learn together. This is a big contribution for a good neighborhood and a city that overcomes division. But not only on the neighborhood level, the whole city can be a space for encounter. The key is involvement. Involvement of as many citizens as possible in the political and social decision-making process helps to overcome divisions in the society. For instance, involvement in the planning, a participation process of planning a public space in the neighborhood. This involvement of planning a common good, like a public space, leads to an inclusive physical public space for encounter. But above that, the involvement process is a space for encounter per se. Inclusive involvement enhances mutual understanding between different social groups and understanding of different needs and perceptions, and understanding that we all together have something in common. Inclusive involvement strengthens social cohesion between the different. And I'm deeply convinced that it is particularly important to take children and young people on this common path of mutual understanding. It is particularly important to take children and young people on this common path of involvement. Last year, I started a process to elaborate a youth strategy in Vienna. I talked about that on the Act.Now conference 1 year ago. The content of the strategy was developed by the young people themselves on the basis of the largest participatory process Austria has ever seen. It is called Workshop Young Vienna. More than 22,500 young people actively participated and have been able to shape their living environment. More than 22,500 young people in very many workshops, I think 1,400, something like that. They pronounced what they like, their city, and what has to be done differently. Viennese youth was given the chance to articulate their ideas. Children and young people were involved to outline how Vienna of the future should look like. In the process of Werkstatt Junges Wien, the young people of Vienna have phrased out a mission, basically. They did it in workshops, they had children conferences, children committees, and so on. And it is a mission for the city administration and the politicians. This mission, the youth strategy of Vienna, will be adopted by the Vienna City Council, the city parliament in Vienna, in the next weeks. And afterwards, we will work hard on implementing it. And definitely, we will do it together with the young people in Vienna. And I think this is the main point. Only in this coherent and reliable way, by comprehensive action after inclusive community involvement, we can maintain the credibility of a liberal and social democracy. Only by taking into account the needs of children and young people, it will be possible to shape our cities. It will be possible to shape our cities in the years to come. I made a few remarks now on the important role of neighborhood work, especially in schools and other education facilities. And I told you about the involvement, the role of involvement of as many young citizens as possible. Now I want to point out a third thing. Democratization through participation and strengthening civic engagements are the most important keys against the political divisions in our society. But can everybody who lives in our city participate in the same way? The answer is no. In the year 2019, about 30% of the residents of Vienna who are older than 16 years were not able to vote for the city council. If we focus on the group between 25 and 44 years, the number is above 40%. We have to overcome this division. One human, one vote. One human, one vote is a beautiful phrase, but unfortunately it doesn't describe the current situation. As long as the right to vote is restricted to the nationality and the citizenship law is also very restrictive, like it is in Austria, we will have to deal with this representation gap. If we want to build our cities as places that overcome division, we have to close this gap. Participation in community development can reduce this gap. In Vienna, we are currently developing good practices from all over the world for dealing with the representation gap. For example, city councils or city citizenships with the city ID. In the long run, we have to solve the representation gap in a more fundamental way, but that needs majorities on the national level. It's a long way to go, but I'm sure it's worth it. So that was my input. I hope that I could provide you with some thoughts, some inspiration for the next hours to come. I will be here to talk about Werkstatt Junges Wien. I'm sure that this space for dialogue that we have here, this space for mutual understanding we have here, is exactly the right way to change things for the better. Citizens, especially young persons, citizens of all ages, politicians, scientists, practitioners, institutions of society, only together solutions for the challenges for the future can be found. Have a fantastic day, and never stop bringing people together. It's the only way for changing the world for the better.